Just yesterday, Tonto Dikeh made a post that caught a lot of people's attention. For many Nigerians, this post was shocking, especially coming from someone like Tonto Dikeh, who has publicly dragged her ex-husband, Olakunle Churchill, for years. We know how all of that went down, the arguments, the court cases, the accusations. So when this post came, it was beyond shocking. People started to wonder what might have happened. But before we go any further, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Behind Closed Doors. If you're new here, thanks for clicking on this video. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. Here today we have something on our table that is our very forte, Tonto Dikeh and her ex-husband and everything that has gone down from yesterday's post. So many people might not have seen that post, so to understand what is happening, the buzz and everything, especially for those who may not be, on with trending cases and all, I'm going to read through everything that Tonto Dikeh posted yesterday and why it raised the kind of attention it raised. So Tonto Dikeh wrote, with a picture of Churchill as the main picture, "We are living proof that the word of God is eternal and unfailing. God is not a God who abandons what he has started. When he begins to work, he stays with it until it's completed. After 10 long years of public battles, deep wounds, broken communication, bitterness and pain, God stepped in. What looked ugly, impossible and beyond repair has been touched by mercy. Peace has replaced chaos. Respect has returned where anger once lived. What human effort could not fix, God healed by salvation, humility, and the sincere prayers of a child. This restoration is not by might, not by wisdom, not by strength, but by the Spirit of the Lord. When God moves, the human mind cannot comprehend the process. He softens hearts, silences the enemy, and rewrites stories that looked finished. Every plan of darkness has failed, stubbornness has bowed, pride has melted, love has found its voice again for my child. I am deeply grateful to the father of my child, Dr. Kunle, for yielding to God's word and choosing peace. Obedience to God always births restoration, even when the road has been long and painful. To anyone standing where I once stood, tired, wounded, misunderstood, and believing nothing good could come out of the situation, please hear this. God has not abandoned you. Your story is not over. What he has started, he will surely perfect. Keep praying, keep choosing love, keep trusting God, even when it hurts. May this restored relationship remain built on the solid rock of God's mercy, protection, grace, and mighty hand. May it stand as a living testimony that God never fails, never forgets, and never walks away from his own. If God did it for us, he can do it for you. To my spiritual father, Papa, thank you for grooming a God-fearing, impact-making woman out of a total mess. Hashtag King Tonto, hashtag Dr. Churchill, hashtag King Andre Churchill. Now, looking at the post as a whole, the tone is mature, calm, and there is no blaming, no accusation, which is really striking considering the long history between Tonto and Churchill. Now she positioned her ex-husband very respectfully, thanking him publicly for choosing peace, and made it clear that this was about co-parenting, emotional reset, and restoration, not romance or getting back together. At least that's not what I understood from her post. So, after 10 years of tension, this is not a small development. But as we'll see, that's not where the story ends. Just hours after Tonto Dikeh's reconciliation post went up, another post started making waves. This time from Rosie, the woman who married Tonto's ex-husband after their marriage ended. Rosie shared a video and some photos of herself, and in the caption she wrote something that immediately caught everyone's attention. She captioned that video and the post, "Queen of Queens." Now, this is the moment that really raised eyebrows. Because the timing was so close to Tonto's post, people started asking themselves, why this post now? What was the message? And here's the thing, this is not about the post itself, but the timing and the language. As after Tonto publicly shared her message of peace and co-parenting, Rosie comes out with this post, presenting herself in a way that instantly draws attention. It's subtle, yes, but it's noticeable, and it's exactly what brings us to today's discussion. Knowing their history, Tonto, Rosie, Churchill, it's understandable why everybody is starting to raise eyebrows with this Rosie's post. To me, it looks like Rosie is in a really tight spot. It's a bit uncomfortable, like power has shifted, and what Tonto went through in the past might actually be what is being feared now. I know you might be asking, where is all this coming from, especially for people who don't understand the full story. How are we making this up from a single caption? But trust me, you won't really get it unless you understand the backstory. That's why we're going to go a little bit back, look at the history, and I'll explain why this Queen of Queens caption is suddenly drawing more attention than it normally would. Once you see the story behind it, everything starts to make sense, and you'll understand why this moment is getting more eyes than usual. According to Churchill, now we are looking at a bit of the backstory. He and Tonto Dikeh met in 2014 at a nightclub during his brother's birthday party. Just 3 months after meeting, Tonto became pregnant. They got married in August of 2015. Churchill arranged for Tonto to fly to the US to give birth, and their son, King Andre, was born at an American hospital. After the birth, they lived together briefly, first in his London home and then in a Lagos apartment for about 6 months before separating. The marriage between them collapsed in late 2016 or early 2017, that's less than 2 years after it began. Tonto publicly accused Churchill of serious domestic abuse. In a 2017 Instagram post, she said she endured 7 domestic violence incidences and miscarriages while married. Churchill denied all abuse claims, calling them frivolous, falsity, and insisting he never laid hands on her. He maintained that such allegations were baseless propaganda meant to discredit him. Tonto also accused Churchill of infidelity. She alleged he had a long-term affair with his then personal assistant, Nollywood actress Rosie. Reports at the time noted that Rosie was at the center of Churchill's divorce brouhaha with Tonto, who claimed he was having an extramarital affair with Moira. Rosie, however, later denied any role in the breakup. Churchill also denied cheating, saying Tonto's claims were part of the same social media propaganda. The separation led to a public back and forth. Both Tonto and Churchill traded accusations on social media and in interviews over the years. Their divorce was widely described as messy, with both sides making bitter public statements. Churchill gave interviews denying all of Tonto's accusations, while Tonto continued to speak about the alleged abuse. Over the years following their separation, Tonto and Churchill had ongoing disputes, particularly surrounding their son and his surname. Churchill insisted that the child's document should carry his surname, while Tonto maintained the child bore hers. In 2023, she publicly announced that her son's last name was now officially Dikeh. Meanwhile, Churchill and Rosie eventually got married and started their own beautiful family. They have had children together since, and their relationship has been publicly celebrated sometimes, and then sometimes it has been scrutinized, and there has been allegations of separation and stuff like that in the past. But as we can see now, they are obviously not separated. So now let's bring things back to the present. At this point, everybody should have a clear picture of the backstory, how we got here, why this moment is even eye-catching in the first instance. Let's recap a few key points we have established so far, the important ones. Number 1, Tonto Dikeh's marriage broke down completely after years of tension and unresolved issues. Number 2, there was no form of co-parenting for a long time. From everything we have seen and established, both sides were clearly not on talking terms. There was anger, bitterness, and things left unresolved, which made communication practically impossible. Number 3, Rosie was alleged to be a side chick to Churchill during that period. Eventually, she and Churchill got married and started their own family. With these 3 points in mind, now we can zoom in on Rosie's caption and understand why it is making the rounds and raising so many eyebrows. This is not just a casual post. It comes loaded with timing, language, and context that instantly caught the public's attention. Now, this is where we are going to land. Let's get into why Rosie Queen of Queens caption caught so much attention. To understand this, we have to look at one of the key points we have already established. One of those key points is that Rosie was an alleged side chick, according to Tonto Dikeh. Now, when you understand marriage and the dynamics between two parents who share a child, you know that tension can run deep when things go wrong. And that's exactly what we saw with Tonto Dikeh and her ex-husband. Their relationship was filled with anger and unresolved issues. Tonto publicly accused Churchill of many things, everything from domestic problems to financial disputes. Churchill on his part also spoke out, even going as far as mentioning conflict with Tonto over his mother, stating that Tonto fought his mother and stuff like that. His mother herself even stepped forward and said, yes, he's right, she did this and she's not good for my son. But here's the major takeaway. Tonto and Churchill were not on talking terms. That level of anger and bitterness meant that there was almost zero communication between them. Tonto even made it very clear that her son would carry her name, not his father's. As we know, she claimed she was the one that funded the marriage, including paying her own bride price, and had taken control of her child's upbringing. Now imagine being in Rosie Moira's position, someone who was alleged to be a side chick, who eventually married the man and started a family with him. From her own perspective, the lack of communication between Tonto and Churchill was actually stability. Why, you might ask? Because when the ex-couple aren't talking, it actually creates a certain kind of stability for Rosie. The kind where the new wife, who was once the side chick, doesn't have to worry about the ex-wife suddenly asserting influence or complicating things. In other words, the absence of Tonto Dikeh created a space where Rosie could feel secure, at least until this new development that came up. So from Rosie's point of view, things were probably comfortable, predictable, and safe. She had a family, she had a life with Churchill, and she could function without the ex-wife constantly influencing events. And then, suddenly, out of nowhere, Tonto Dikeh came forward with a post that changed the dynamics. She shared that she had given her life to Christ, something that raised eyebrows, of course, because this wasn't her first claim of newfound faith. Even back when the marriage initially broke down, she said she was turning to Christ. But many people weren't convinced because there was obviously no significant change in her behavior. But this time, things seemed different. With guidance from Pastor Jerry Eze at Streams of Joy, Tonto appeared calmer, more collected, and even more deliberate in her actions. She wasn't the same reactive person we had seen before. Tonto was very reactive. But now she seems a lot calmer. And then just yesterday, she made a post declaring that she and Churchill are now in talking terms. For those following this story, this was beyond shocking. Communication was obviously happening, bridges were being rebuilt, and it's at this exact moment, just a few hours later, that Rosie Moira posted her video and photos with the caption Queen of Queens. And this is where we now begin to dissect that post in detail, the timing, the language, and what it could mean given everything we have just laid out. Now let's shine our torchlight on Rosie Moira and what might actually be going on in her mind. Before we go any further, I want to be very clear. These are not facts. These are postulations, probabilities, explorations of what might be happening behind the scenes. We're looking at possibilities, not certainties or facts. So, Rosie posted a video and tagged it Queen of Queens. Now, if you look through her recent posts, she has never really used that caption before, and this comes just hours after Tonto Dikeh's reconciliation post. You can immediately see why people are paying attention. We've established that Tonto and Churchill were not talking for years, and that created a certain security for Rosie. She was the wife at home, running the household, raising a family, while Tonto was fully absent. It was a kind of stability for her, a space where she didn't have to worry about complications from the ex-wife. But now, the dynamic has shifted. Tonto and Churchill are now communicating again, and this is where things get interesting. Think about it. Once upon a time, Tonto was the wife and Rosie was allegedly the side chick. Tonto's marriage felt unstable, her life disrupted because of Rosie Moira's presence, according to her. Fast forward to now. Rosie is the wife, living with Churchill, raising their children, and Tonto? She's back in communication with her ex, calmer, renewed faith, and presenting herself very, very differently from the Tonto we knew before. Now we enter a subtle psychological landscape. There's a well-known dynamic in relationships. Absence creates fondness. When a previous partner steps back, sometimes the ex-wife or ex-husband, even unintentionally, can re-enter a position where they are noticed differently. Tonto, no longer in the marriage, could be seen through fresh eyes, looking beautiful, because let me put this in a bold caption. Tonto is a very beautiful and attractive woman. So she's confident, more composed, And Churchill might now notice her in ways he hadn't when they were together. And this is where Rosie, as the current wife, could feel the pressure, the old roles reversing in subtle ways. It's not about assuming infidelity or anything immoral. It's about perception, psychology, and the reassertion of dominance. The post Queen of Queens reads like an assertion of position, at least from my own perspective. I am the queen here. I am the one in control. I am recognized as the primary partner. It's a subtle social media expression of what might be going on internally. And if we explore this further, imagine for instance, if Tonto weren't grounded in her newfound faith as a true Christian. We are looking at two people with a long history, a child together, shared chemistry. If there is any residual attraction, moments of interaction, calm conversation, checking in on the child, this could easily trigger old dynamics to resurface. Again, we are not saying it's going to happen, only that it's a possibility that someone like Rosie might be intuitively aware of. Remember Omoni Oboli's Okafor's law. So this post isn't just a caption, it's a window into a psychological assessment. Rosie might be reasserting that this is my space, this is my position. She's establishing her dominance, the queen in the midst of queens, in response to changes to the environment she previously thought was stable. Because when things are bad, Tonto is completely out of the picture. But now that things are good, there'll be communication, child visitation, stuff like that. You can imagine what's going on in the person's mind. Everything we have established so far, Tonto and Churchill reconnecting, the role switch from ex-wife to probable side chick versus the wife now, who is Rosie Moira, the chemistry and history, all of that frames the context for why this post was possibly made and why it's raising eyebrows. Remember, these are possibilities, probabilities, and postulations, not facts. We are analyzing patterns, human psychology, which is our forte, and the subtle shifts that might be playing out behind the scenes. So here we are looking at everything that's happened, the reconciliation post from Tonto Dikeh, the timing of Rosie Moira's post, and the complex history that led us to this moment. What we can see is that the reconciliation itself changed the atmosphere. 10 years of tension is not beans. 10 years of anger and unresolved issues have now been met with communication, calm, and a fresh perspective. That in itself shifts the dynamics around everyone involved in this. And reactions don't always come in words. People will not come out to say it as it is. Sometimes they come in subtle signals, social media posts, or expressions of self-assertion, the kind that make people stop and raise an eyebrow. That's exactly what we observed with Rosie Moira's Queen of Queens post. At the end of the day, there is no verdict here, no declarations of right or wrong. What we have done is explore the possibilities, the probabilities, and the psychological layers behind what's unfolding, and maybe that's the point. Sometimes it's not the reconciliation itself that is loud, it is what follows. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please, if you've watched this video so far, even if I know so many of you are going to skip parts of this video, but if you found yourself at the bottom line of this video, the very ending, remember, do not leave without liking. This pushes the video wide and far. Leave a comment on your thoughts. When I make videos like this, I do appreciate feedback because I want to see and understand what is going on in other people's minds, not just my own. And do not forget to also subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel if you're looking for more than just gossip, and share this video so we can reach a wider audience. Thank you.